Welcome back to Morning Trade Live. It's time to focus on the labor market. We've gotten in jobless claims today. We had our monthly jobs report late last week. Jessica Kriegel, Chief Strategy Officer, Culture Partners, is with us. Are you concerned? Are you seeing a trend?
I think everyone's a little bit concerned at this point. I was most shocked by the downward revisions of the jobs report last week. The jobless claims this today that were just announced, nothing too dicey there. But what we're seeing is potential indicators of stagflation. I think for the next quarter, things will probably be flat. Right now, everyone that I'm talking to, the CEOs that we work with, they're all, when in doubt, pause was something that my mentor once said to me was great advice. And that's what a lot of CEOs are doing right now. They're pausing. We're not hiring too many people. We're not firing too many people. We're in a wait and see mode until we can figure out what is going on with tariffs, with inflation, with AI, and all of the other things that are taking their attention right now.
So when we saw within that report, there were some spots. The unemployment rate here at 4.2%. And some folks say, look, even though the numbers seemed abysmal when you had those two revisions of the prior months, 258,000 fewer jobs the prior months, that the unemployment rate is still fine. But there were details within that. The labor force participation rate came down, for example. Are there any bright spots to speak of, or not really?
Bright spots right now are few and far between. I think fall will give us a much clearer picture of where we're at. You're right. The unemployment rate is a historically low number. And yet that doesn't match what people seem to be experiencing. It's certainly not matching the conversations that are being had at the top levels for business leaders right now. They are trying to figure out how can we get our team aligned? And really the key right now is the best companies are focusing on maintaining that muscle of being adaptable. If you can stay adaptable to whatever will come, whether that be good news or bad news, well, then you're in a better spot as opposed to just reacting. Every week there's new data that comes in. And if we're constantly in reactive mode, we're not going to be able to thrive over the long term.
Obviously, you've had foreign-born workers out of the country, and that affects some of the numbers in the near term. Are you worried that that will continue to affect the numbers? Maybe it's a one-off.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So the population changes also obviously will affect how we interpret the data that we're getting. And so the population has gone down a little bit. And so actually that might make the numbers look a little bit better. There's all sorts of factors right now. We are in a perfect storm of different factors that we have to be taking into account as we understand. And, the Fed, as they look at this, they have a dual mandate. They're looking at inflation and they're also looking at the jobs market. And now with the data integrity being in question as Trump fired the BLS statistician, well, now we've got, a lot of questions like, can we even rely on the data? What does that mean? How are the markets going to react to the data? Are they reacting to the data, or are they reacting to the perception of the reliability of that data? And so it is hard right now to be a leader.
Understood. Have we also seen a change in how we are working? Everybody got very comfortable working from home or maybe coming in a very few days. Is that changing?
Absolutely. Companies are forcing their employees back into the office. That has been the trend for the first part of this year. And new numbers just recently came out that 212,000 women have left the workforce in the first half of the year, while men have joined the workforce. They've increased numbers. And so that's a reflection of the flexibility going down with where you can work. Someone's going to have to take care of the kids if we can't stay home to watch them. And it seems like it's the women that are doing that.
When we think about the big picture here and the kinds of jobs that are coming, obviously everybody's expecting more from AI. Do you think there'll be more AI type of jobs?
Yeah, well, there are certainly high paying jobs right now if you have AI expertise. If you're worried about unemployment right now, your best bet is to educate yourself on AI as much as possible. That's also one of the reasons that CEOs have held off on hiring, because a lot of CEOs have said, before you bring me some kind of claim that you need a new staff member on your team, show me that AI can't do that better than an employee. And so there's a little bit of figuring that out right now. Where we see job growth is in the healthcare industry, and that healthcare industry is really making up for all of the other sectors.
You also talked about demographics, types of workers. I see young women and things like that. Can you tell me a little bit about that, some trends?
Yeah, well, the unemployment rate for Black workers, for example, is much higher than average. It's over 6%. Business owners, people who work for small businesses, are struggling significantly more as well. So there are pockets of people, young workers, Gen Z, people just out of college. They're also at an unemployment rate of over 6%. So they're having a much harder time than the average population. It's hard to be a college grad right now trying to find your way into the corporate world.
And in the meantime, we still have things that are developing, like tariffs, like supply chain things that we're watching, for example. And it's hard for companies to sort of gauge what they may or may not need as far as labor, right?
Yeah, and tariffs affect everything, right? It affects your business investment, it affects your hiring, it affects your prices. And so, right now, where we're seeing a huge need is to get alignment at the executive level of where we're spending our time, where we're spending our money, our resources. And so, that alignment, sometimes you have the head of HR saying, we got to worry about making sure everyone's got pet bereavement policies. And then you've got the COO saying, we need to lay everyone off. And so, how do you get the executive team aligned around the future of the business? A lot of executives that we're working with are doing scenario planning, and they're having these debates right now to figure out, how do we make these decisions in order to make sure that we're all in alignment.
I mean, I know in the last report we saw wage growth go up a little bit, but overall it has come down, and that was part of the inflation picture. The folks wanted that wage growth wouldn't be hot. Where do we stand there?
Yeah, wages have not kept up with what we're seeing with regards to inflation. What I also think is interesting about the jobless claims is we see the productivity has gone up. So the pressure that executives are putting on their team to do more, to act more, to get more done, that has certainly amped up. And so people are feeling the heat right now. We need to perform. We need to perform efficiently, and we need to be strategic about the way that we're evolving. And all of these demands has really put the heat both on executives and the front line.
All right, Jessica Kriegel, Culture Partners. Jessica, thanks so much. Good luck there at the jobs picture.